Central School of Speech Training and Dramatic Art. It was a great training, it really was. It was 3 years of solid graft. The interesting thing was that the Central School was at the Royal Albert Hall then, and we used to use the crush rooms for doing exercises and voice classes, and they had a funny little theatre built into, you know, those bits that stick out of the side of the Albert Hall. They had a tiny little theatre built in one of those alcoves where we used to put on our shows. But it had a terrific atmosphere, and when we weren't actually doing the shows, we used to creep up into the very top gallery of the Albert Hall and listen to the concerts being rehearsed. And I saw the greatest orchestras and violinists and, you know, really amazing people practicing. Well, do you know, they didn't much. They taught us, and then we went. And some of us who met up afterwards sort of said, we weren't quite prepared for this. We thought it was all going to be rather cosy, like it was at Central. I think one of the good things they did tell us was to obviously keep our vocal exercises going and our diction and everything, and not to let that lapse. But also, they taught us that we should have a second string to our bow, because there were going to be lots of times when we wouldn't be in work and we need to earn money. So they encouraged us to do things like secretarial courses, and the girls that could do waitressing and all that sort of polish up those kind of skills. And that was very useful. Well, they had a big end of third year show. And I did a play. It was, I can't remember what it was now, but it was with Jeremy Brett I did my piece with. And they'd invited all the agents and the managements of theatres and that sort of thing to come and see this end of term thing. And one of the agents asked me to join afterwards. And Val May, who ran the Ipswich Repertory Theatre then, he asked me to go to Ipswich Rep. So that was great. I killed 2 birds with 1 stone there. I had an agent and I had a job to go to as soon as I left, which was terrific. Well, yes, I went straight into Rep, and I was there for almost a year, but I was very impatient. And I wanted to move on from Rep. So I left Ipswich and came to London to try my hand here. And I was sent to audition. They were doing a funny little revue called Soho, So What? It was in the time when revues were very popular. There were a lot of revues on, and that was great entertainment in the evening. There weren't long shows, there were songs, there was jokes, there was sketches. So I did this. I got the job for Soho, So What? And I was given a wonderful monologue to do on my own, a solo spot. And it was terribly well received by the press. And after that, I was asked to audition by J.B. Priestley for his new play, which was called Mr. Kettle and Mrs. Moon. And I went along for that, and I got it, which was amazing, because then I was going to be on in the West End in a J.B. Priestley play. So that was very exciting, and that went well. And really from then on, it just sort of snowballed, the work. Well, of course, I've always had agents. I mean, I haven't always had the same agent. When I thought an agent was getting a bit bored with me, I'd move on to another one, because I thought that was the best thing to do, really. But I've always had an agent, and they really do the searching around. But they always say, you know, it's coming up time for you to put your picture in Spotlight again. That was absolutely de rigueur. You had to be in Spotlight, because that's where all the casting directors looked. It has changed a lot, because I remember there were just 2 books when I started, one for men and one for women. And now I'm told there are 5 tomes. And of course, you've got all the online stuff as well. The thing was, I had written with my husband quite a few shows for a comedy show that I made called Mother Makes Five. And we had written quite a few episodes of that together, so I rather got the writing bug. So when that was finished, I thought, what can we do now? What can we do now? And I was catching a train to go and visit my mother up north, and I caught hold of a magazine, something to read on the way up. And it was The Lady magazine. And in the back of The Lady are all these adverts for nannies and people wanting nannies and people wanting to be nannies. And I thought, what a very interesting career that is, because, well, you're not part of the family, and yet you're looking after the most precious members of that family. And I thought there was a lot of scope there. So I did quite a lot of research and found there were so many stories about nannies that I thought maybe not a one-off, maybe a series, you know. So anyway, got the storylines and things down and sent it in to the BBC, never expecting to hear another thing, but thinking, oh, well, I've tried that. And about 3 months later, my agent rang up and said, they want to do The Nanny. And I was absolutely stunned. She said, sit down, you're looking quite white. Which I was. But then, of course, when we came to actually do it, I didn't write the episodes. They were written by proper writers. But I had supplied some storylines and that sort of thing. And it was very well received. I loved making it. Oh, I was never so close to anything. It was my baby, absolutely. And that exciting moment on the first day of shooting, we were in some little town in the Cotswolds, and they transformed the whole street into the 1930s, and there were old cars with the proper licenses on and everything, and sweet shops and sweets in jars, and it was just magical. And I was so excited because I just thought, amazing what happens from just a seed of an idea. It can grow into this great big thing. I think probably Nanny certainly is one, but playing Rhea in Butterflies was another one. Really, Carla's writing was magical, and it had a very special quality, that show. Yes, it was a great favourite. I loved doing that show. I really loved it. For years and years, I'd never had to audition. Lots of things were written for me, and some of the other things, they just perhaps thought, oh, she'd be right for that. So I didn't have to audition. I do now. Times have changed. I started off with a very nice gentleman from MCA. Most of my agents, I have to say, have been very nice, cosy, friendly. I felt that I was part of their family, their professional family, you know. But it very often happens that after a few years, there are new people coming in, and I don't know, you get slightly the feeling that they're not quite so interested in me now as they were. But that might just be that the parts aren't coming in, but it's strange the way it happens with great regularity. And I think when you really start getting very fed up, you think, right, the time has come to move on. So I have had, let me think, about 5 agents in my career, yeah. I think when I started out, I loved the theatre. Well, there wasn't much television. In fact, I don't think there was any television. Is it that long ago? But I absolutely loved the theatre, and that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a great dramatic actress when I started out. But that was not to be. I found myself always drawn to comedy and always being asked to do comedy, apart from the odd thing like Candida, and there were some serious television roles that I played. I think it's changed for me in as much as I find the rigours of theatre a bit stressful now. But I still love doing television. I love everything about television. I love the technicality of it. I love the cameras. I love the crew. I love the people in the makeup room. And just the whole thing is so exciting. And I don't think I'll ever lose that. So funny, because I just saw her a couple of days ago, and we talked about her being at LIPA and how she was getting on and what part she was playing and this, that and the other. And I could absolutely see myself. I just looked at her in wonder, and I saw her eyes shining, and she was so vital and so full of life and so loving what she was doing. And I thought, gosh, that was me all those years ago. Get plenty of sleep. Don't drink too much. Make sure you're eating the right things, because your health is absolutely vital. Your body is your instrument. It's what you use for your art. Stay focused. Keep all those things going that you were taught at drama school, because they're very important to you. Like your voice. Do your voice exercises. Every so often do them, and your breathing and your movement and stretching and all that. Keep your body toned up, ready for a role coming up, so that you're prepared and not at a loss. And just go on loving it and being dedicated to it.